Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here. We're going to create a unique background using a cut file, and I'll show you how to keep it from overwhelming your layout while making sure your photo remains the star of the page. I'm working with the May Hip Kit collection, which is called Vintage Memories. This kit is full of beautiful muted tones and unique patterns. In the main kit, you'll find pattern papers and embellishments, which I'll share with you in a moment. You can also purchase an additional cardstock kit that matches the collection. The cardstock has beautiful colors that complement the pattern papers, with solid on the front and wonderful patterns on the back. My favorite part of this kit is the embellishments. There are some lovely puffy shapes, foam shapes, puffy alpha stickers, vellum shapes, fabric die cuts, cardstock die cuts, and tags and labels. I'll be pairing this kit with a cut file from the Hip Kit Club site. If you're a registered member, you can download these cut files for free. I have already uploaded this one into Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to cut it from a soft latte cardstock using my Cricut Maker. This cut file does not have a border around the edges, which allows you to place it on your cutting mat wherever you wish to cut it out. Before moving on to the cutting process, I did size mine at 11 by 11, and then I used the cardstock for intricate cut settings on my Cricut Maker. As the background is being cut, I want to remind you that the supply list can be found in the description below, along with my discount code to the Hip Kit shop. All right, let's go ahead and assemble this project. The cut file I chose is full of positive phrases like good vibes, the feels, and so good. This project is going to feature a photo of my daughter and her husband, and I wanted the design to be bright and cheerful and highlight the story behind the photo. That cut file makes a great background, but since it's so bold, I've chosen to back it with a warm poppy-colored cardstock to help it stand out. I also want to avoid it taking attention away from my photo, which can be common with larger cut files. To separate the photo from this background, I'm going to select some pattern papers from the kit that match the colors in the photo. I have a vintage blue with some phrases and icons, a soft white with butterflies to break up the color patterns, and some yellow floral to add brightness. Not only will these layers help break up the background, they're also going to create some contrast. To add interest, I'm going to tear the papers at an angle to create a textured edge. To control the tear, I'm using a water brush to draw the pattern I want. Then I'll tear towards myself to get a white edge. If you don't want a white edge, you can tear the paper away from yourself. After creating the torn pattern in the first background paper, I'm going to layer the next pattern over it and match the tear pattern. I'm just going to repeat this process with the blue paper as well to ensure a consistent look. When all three papers are stacked together, the angles will point towards the photo, drawing your eye right where it should be. Before I adhere everything down, I'm going to use an edge distressor to add texture to the torn edges. This tool has a blade that creates a rough surface when rubbed along the paper edge. The harder you press, the more tears you get. Off camera, I used my sewing machine to add some stitching. At this point, I have a lot of vertical elements on the page, so I'm going to add some horizontal strips to make the photo look like it's hanging off the top. I'm going to use liquid glue to adhere these in place because I might be adding some stitching to it later. I'm going to start by placing the photo and a journal card on the page. Then I'm going to choose some floral die cuts, frames, and some labels that will enhance the photo. I'm going to trim down this frame a bit and create a subtle border around my photo. This has a little paperclip icon that's going to add a nice little detail to this design. To add a little bit of color, I'm going to tuck a yellow label at the top and add a phrase to it. I want to keep things cohesive, so I'm going to repeat some colors like yellow and blue. I do want to bring in a little bit of dark blue and frame this right side of the photo. I'm going to use a craft knife to cut a slit right here. And then I'm going to tuck this floral piece right behind my picture. This is going to make it look like it's part of the journaling card. For the title, I'm using Vintage Style Makes My Heart Happy. I'm going to tuck a few little floral pieces here, and then I'll finish off my visual triangle of florals with another cluster up here near the top. I wanted this floral cluster to have more of a layered look, so I trimmed off the dark blue flower, which would have been tucked behind the photo, and I'm just going to layer it underneath the printed die cut. This is a really simple way to make it look like you have multiple flowers when you only have one image. I'm going to finish this off with a few puffy stickers, including a phrase and some butterflies. The addition of black breaks up some of the color around the photos and adds to the vintage look. I'm going to finish adding the rest of my embellishments, and then I'll share the completed layout with you. Originally, I had planned on adding some stitching details at the top, but I decided to add a bit of twine to break up those florals and add some texture. This simple design keeps focus on the photo and softens that top section without overwhelming the layout. I love how the bold background, torn paper layers, and embellishments all work together without overshadowing the photo. Today I showed you how to use a cut file to create a unique background design and some simple ways to add texture with torn and distressed paper. We also talked about how to keep a busy design balanced by controlling color and pattern, and some easy layering and embellishing techniques. I want to thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this tutorial, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and leave me a comment below. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.